Yo, what's up, everybody, and welcome back, aka welcome back to Life Unfiltered, where, as you already know, we're taking a deep dive into the black mind, the black heart, black culture, and black love experience. And as always, I'm never by myself because I always got the queen with me. So, Lady Cash is in the building.
Hey y'all.
And of course, it's like what's one without the two? You feel me? What's Kobe without Shaq? You know what I'm saying? Like if you call this man's phone right now and say, "Yo, where's your brother Izzy?" He gonna swear up and down he don't know me because that's what friends do. So I'm definitely in the building with my sandbox dude, AP. So what's up, man?
What's going on, peoples?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
So definitely, man. Look, if y'all watched episode 2, y'all know last week was crazy. You feel me? In week 1, episode 1 was just diabolical. We've been talking about rent and relationships, really trying to uncover why is it so expensive to find a quality woman nowadays, man. I'm either having to hop in her DM and pay crazy money, or like I can't take her out without being responsible for the nails, hair, feet, lashes, and just probably the outfit too, and just about everything else that's needed. Y'all already know what it is. So, uh, what you think about last week, babe? Before I introduce episode 3.
Um, in summation, I feel as like our relationships 50-50. Um,
Okay.
no, relationships are not 50-50. They're never like that because I feel like eventually somebody's going to have to give more in a different category or make up for the other person. If you're in a relationship and you want it to grow and you want to be in that relationship and be committed. Now, as far as dating goes, like you
Our
said,
bias.
you have to you have
Whatever.
to, invest
This is
into it a
crazy,
bit.
yo.
I'm not
It's
saying
been a
always
whole
money,
7 days. She
but
still got the same opinion, yo. Like, bro, what you think, man? Last week, what are you ending with, bro? Are relationships 50-50, or you just basically gonna suck it up, no diddy, and just say,
Thank you for clarifying that.
yeah,
No,
I
I
had
mean,
to, had to. You feel me? Are you just gonna, suck it up, no diddy, and basically say, I gotta pay the tab to get a wife?
well, because I am in the dating phase in the world of it all, definitely not 50-50, man. I ain't no way impossible. I gotta pay for all this crazy stuff. But again, going into third episode, man, introduce us where we about to go,
All
dog.
right, let's go. So I just think it's only right that if we're talking about relationships and we're talking about, you know what I'm saying, relationships and rent payments, and we're talking about, gender roles and whose responsibility is it to cover what fees and all of that, I think it's only right that we talk about submission. You feel me? Like
Yeah.
let's go there. So welcome to episode 3. We're talking about surrender or control, the real talk on submission. You know what I mean?
mm,
So let's go there today. Let's go there today. So I'm gonna start off with you, babe. What's your definition of submission? You gotta submit. What does that mean? You're a millennial. What
that
we not
is a loaded
we ain't
question.
baby boomers. We not
Okay.
Generation X. What does it mean to submit?
Yeah.
What am I saying?
Uh, for me, what it means to submit is to, without fear, without hesitation, trust and be open with my partner and allow you to lead. That's what I feel submission is. In all ways and aspects. Like I feel like when you submit to a man or your man, you open up a different level of vulnerability from that man. And it allows a man to be able to accept, want, value you in his life and your input. And that's my opinion.
Okay. So trust and openness. Bro, what is submitting? What is that, man?
Um, Kind of even going back to episode one and actually what Cashmere just said. I think it's more so
Yeah, I was about to
yielding.
say that's real official. Like y'all just meeting for the first time. What Cashmere was
Yeah.
just saying was when I
Well,
I
you
put my
know,
full name on it because I went there. I gave it to
Jesus.
y'all. Okay.
Okay,
listen,
Professor
we didn't
Cash
know
in the
some
building.
years, right? Loading,
Hey,
Professor
wait, hold
Cash
up
loading.
though. Wait. We dang, like we have been knowing you for some years.
Yeah, man. Like,
Okay, 13 to Wow, hold up. 1920. It's been
Yeah,
it's been 20 years.
yeah, yeah, dog.
Wow. Okay, we got to do a man handshake on that one. Yeah, like we
Y'all are
locked in,
My
crazy,
nigga,
dog.
locked in
okay.
100 grand. Like, jeez. All right, bro. Submission. What is that?
I think what it is, like in its full scope, is yielding that vulnerability, that vulnerable part. When you submit, it's you're vulnerable. There's no secrets. There's no hiding behind anything. It's not how much money you make. It's not the job that you have. Is no, when all of that is done and you come home, who are you? And are you willing to take off what the world sees you as,
Yeah.
and then to be just like, hey, this is who I am, flawed and all.
Submission to me is, oh, they finna tear me up in the comments. It's trust, openness, but there has to be a level of knowledge and
Mm,
obedience. Has to be.
yeah,
They gonna tear me up for that obedience word.
yeah,
Oh,
Trust,
babe, what is that?
yeah,
The
right. That's too
seasoning?
much
seasoning. You feel me?
accountability.
What you
That's too
talking
much
about?
Yeah, I
Oh,
accountability
understand.
right
babe,
there.
got somebody at home.
Trust, openness, knowledge, but there has to be a level of obedience because there,
And
as much as you don't want to admit it, there has to be a gender role attached to submission. So it's like, here we go. I feel like I'm gonna submit to you, and in submitting to you, you know what I'm saying? Like I have to know you. And when I say know, I mean what does babe expect? You know what I mean? You expect the bills to be paid, the house to be nice. I can't just go anywhere and just say this is where we finna stay. You expect me to lead. Right? So I gotta know that. So that means I gotta do that without you telling me to, because I know what you expect. Vice versa, you know what I
Mm,
expect. I gotta pop out, hey, why am I talking about dinner at 7 o'clock? Why where's that? You already know. You feel me? That's not
yeah,
that's submitting. Like I already sorry, home girl, I gotta get off the phone. You feel me, bro? I gotta hang up because
yeah,
babe finna walk through the door and
yeah,
he has this
absolutely.
expect. I'm submitted to him. You know what I mean? So you gotta know, you gotta trust me. You feel me? You gotta have some obedience there, because what if you turn around and be like, I ain't feeding him tonight, whatever. Then for that moment, I feel like you unsubmitted. I mean, am I talking reckless or what?
I think
Yeah, no,
everything is
that's a
all
good
about
point.
context, but definitely, that's a
Yeah,
definitely a
no,
good
that's a
point.
good point.
You said context, like what you mean?
I mean, that's your perspective. That's your point of view.
Right.
But
But I,
also to what you said about gender roles. I don't feel like it's always a gender role more so than a characteristic.
All right, so let me ask you this. Okay, it's gonna go there. All right, let's go then. Let's drive. All right.
all right.
Yeah,
Don't
Hashtag
yeah.
don't hurt them
unfiltered.
too. Hey, don't
Unfiltered.
hurt them too
Hey,
bad, dog.
hey,
Don't hurt them
hey,
too bad, dog. I hear
hey.
it.
I'm finna
I hear
drive
it.
forward. I'm finna drive forward. Here we go. I mean, does somebody have the last say, like in our household?
Yes.
So who would you say that person
I mean, in what scenario?
is? I'm saying, okay,
And shot.
right. Boom. Here we go. Who has the last say in our household? Okay, I give you a scenario.
You do.
Okay, so how don't you feel like there's a gender role that's in there though?
Because I feel like all relationships are not gender based.
But see, okay, now you're going into DEI. So we finna go there. Like, okay. Like, yeah, everybody doesn't have a gender, Black psychology, that's what we talking about. But no, for real. All right, so
In in our dynamic
in
or
our dynamic, or any
okay.
we talking about all dynamics.
Okay.
Is there a gender, give or take, that's, I mean, even in okay, God, I'm gonna go there.
Mm.
Even if we go to that type of relationship, somebody is
In a gay
still
relationship, somebody's more submissive than the other because
okay.
both people cannot be dominant. You can be dominant in your own way, in your own category, in your own position. But yes, you're correct.
Thank you for
I-
okay. She cleaned that up and gave me a scientific answer, because I was finna.
You're right. I think it's all in context though. Because again, if we look at it from the gender role base, it's in the context. As you say, it depends on the situation. Whether both people are dominant and or not, somebody has to yield that dominance at some point or another, whether you have the final say, whether you are
Right.
figuring out who's going to lead where or go where, somebody has to be like, you know what,
Provide
you
what?
chill
Like
out.
all those things come into play.
And that's what I'm saying. So I just feel like if I have the final say in our household, then there's a gender influence that's there.
Yeah.
Now, I think on my end of the you know what I mean, of the ball game, I feel like it's irresponsible of the authority that I have in our household for me to make a decision and not consider you, which would mean that I'm
Mm,
not too submitted as well to you. You see what I'm
that's
saying? Because
good.
you see what I'm saying? Because if you
That's
heard
good.
my definition in the beginning, you know what I mean. I said that I have to have knowledge of you. So that means that when see now we finna talk love because we talking love on the show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
definition of love, and y'all feel free to give y'all's, is to be like minded. It is literally the conjoining or the combining of one mind.
And I agree.
I think that's why we jump the broom. That's why we light the candles at the wedding. That's why we pour the sand. It symbolizes not just our bodies becoming one, but our mind becoming one.
Right.
So if we have the same mind, then I think that that's where you know what I mean. I'm gonna be like, no, well, what would Babe want me to do? Because my goal is to please you. So I'm gonna pop out and I'm gonna say, well, what kind of decision would she like me to make? And then I think that in return, we should kind of be battling until our decisions become the same. So I
I
think
like
that
that.
yeah. So when
I
we
feel
talking
I feel like that. So
submissiveness,
when you say that, so I'm kind of over here like blushing a little bit because I'm like, that is you're explaining our
you
relationship.
know, let's get that blush on camera. You know what I'm saying? Because
Oh my
yeah, I
goodness.
was spitting bars right now. You feel me? But I just feel like in submissiveness and submission, when you're really in love, the decision eventually become the same. Think about grandma and grandpa. Nana and dad is what I call my grandparents.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If Nana was
That's
at the
love
store,
pure.
yeah, like they've been married. Okay, if my mom is in her 50s, they've been married over 50 years. So when we look at it, it was like if Nana went to the store and you ran downstairs and said, Dad, can I get that soda? And he just heard Nana tell you no, he gonna be like, now come on, Zabo. Like you already know what your grandma said. We're not even going to do
Yeah.
that. Next question. He ran the house like she was there. He was submitted to her. But same thing. You know what I mean? My grandmother made dinner, and none of us can sit down at the table until my grandfather got home from work.
Yeah.
She already so no matter you can make you a sandwich, you can do whatever you need to do in the afternoon to hold yourself over.
But this right
But
here,
that 5 p.m., 6 p.m. dinner
Right.
that she was
Right.
making, Dad gonna sit down first. She gonna put his plate in front of him, the knife, the fork, the salt, the pepper, the beverage, and then all of us can make our plates. That's submission.
So let me ask you this, man, bro. So in today's time, right, do would you suggest or do you think that in submission or being submitted to someone, there should be a level of expectation that should be discussed? Or are we just going through, oh, let's just go off of what the past generations have done? Because if we just go off of the past generations, then there's really no real firm work. We're just gonna say, oh, well, I'm gonna do what my grandmother and my grandfather modeled. But you don't know the the inner parts of what took that to get to there.
I'm gonna agree, and I'm gonna say I think that it should be based off of the old way, but I think that it should be defined
Mm,
by the context of your relationship. This is why I say that because I think that the reason why we're seeing a decline in black marriages since the 1950s, according to psychological statistics, I think that the reason why we're seeing that is because we're trying to redefine what relationship looks like. You know what I mean? Oh, well, for me,
mm,
this is how it worked. Well, for you, this is how it worked. Or for him, he cool with acting like we married, but he doesn't want to be married. She's cool with you know doing whatever it is that defines her relationship, and we've made relationships so unique that I feel like women are no longer like expecting or waiting on a man to propose. It's kind of like I'm doing my thing, I'm living my life, but that if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Comparable to like my grandmother's era where it was go to school, get your diploma, get your degree, get married. start a family, buy a
Yeah.
house, and so on and so forth. Like we don't see that
Yeah.
no more. Now we see kind of man doing his thing, woman doing their thing. If I work for you and you work for me, then we together, but we ain't gonna talk marriage. If we together a long time, that's just what we do. You know what I mean? So I just think that we should model it off of the old way. You know what I mean? Find that woman that you love. Don't be afraid to, you know what I mean, hop in her DM. Don't be afraid to approach her and actually talk to her face to face because she's a human and not a robot. You know what I mean? Like, fall in love and then base that submission off of grandma and grandpa because they had a good way. It's some reason why they stayed married 50, 60 years. Like I
Absolutely.
said, grandma knew that grandpa had to eat and she knew that she was at home. She knew that the house needed to be clean, even if she used us to clean it. Like she knew,
Right.
hey,
Hey.
grandpa finna come home, go on and make it work. You know what I'm saying? Like she knew, you know what I mean, that when he got home, he had to shower. He ain't want all that noise. So we gotta quiet down. You know what I mean? And vice versa. He knew roses on Valentine's Day, gift on your birthday, constant flirtation, kiss before I leave, kiss when I come home, cuddle at night. I'm gonna give you that because you're giving me that. They were submitted. So here's my question. Is submission a cultural thing?
Mm.
Like, is submitting in the Bible the same thing that we doing? Because Bible submission, the woman really didn't have an opinion.
Yeah, I was about to say, biblically, no, it's not. Not the same.
Well, what is like? How do you view the submission in the Bible?
Submission in the Bible was man follows God and then wife follows man. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, in other words, if I said, babe, pack up, we move into Hong Kong, your biblical submission would cause you to say, my husband is the head of my house, and me and my kids are gonna go learn how to speak Mandarin.
Yeah.
Amen. I completely agree. I feel like that is the dynamic of our life.
So should everybody be submitted biblically though?
In a committed, submitted, and relationship, yes.
So you feel like every woman, your homegirls, your homeboys, not your homeboys. I mean, you know, never mind, never mind. But you feel like every woman should be willing to drop everything and follow her man in every
Cash be
dynamic of the
careful.
relationship.
I feel like in most relationships, yes, it just really depends on the relationship because I feel like if you don't trust your man to provide for you and trust that wherever you go, you'll still be able to do and, map out your individual dreams and successes that you want for yourself, then my question is like, then what are you doing?
Bro, you feel like your woman should just drop what she doing and follow you?
I'm really thinking about that.
And
And
I don't mean I want to clarify because I already know people in
Well,
the
what do you
comments
mean
gonna try.
drop
That's what I was
everything?
finna do because
Because
the
see, because I already knew the comments was gonna be
yeah.
like, I ain't dropping nothing.
Because
I got my career here.
I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of girlfriends who have or do live in separate places than their mate, their husbands,
See,
their
that's what I'm talking
boyfriends,
about. So,
because that works for them. But I know like that wouldn't work for me and
but
that wouldn't work for you.
that doesn't mean that they're not submitted. It just means that
Right.
they're working, which is fine. But what I'm saying is like if the man said, whoever your friends are, if the man's friend, if your friends' significant others said, leave where you are, leave Vegas, leave Cali, leave Texas, I'm moving to Atlanta. Should the woman follow her mate?
I mean, if she could do what she was doing before and and that made, you know, be able to do what was still making her happy in a different place, yeah. You
So
may be
it's
away from your
contingent.
friends, you may be away from your family or whatever your comfortability is there, but like I don't
but
know, I can't answer that for everybody.
Because you're not giving me a yes or a no.
I can give you my
I
yeah,
want to.
answer. My answer is yes because you are my home. You are everything for me. So it's like wherever you go, I'm gonna go with you. We can go to I don't know, goddamn an igloo, and I would be like, sure, let's find the Eskimos that live here because we new here.
an
Okay.
igloo and
Let's
Eskimo
give
is
a
crazy.
applause for that right there. That's
You
how
in the
women need to
code.
move.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, bro. So is your woman packing up and following you? Like, is that your expectation?
um, yes, if I have a plan. I think most of I
Did you
I'm
just say
inclined to
if I
believe.
have a plan?
And see,
No,
now I
no, no,
have
no.
to
Here's my
wait.
thing.
I have to
Here's my
finish.
thing.
I have to go back because that's the thing. Like, I trust you as the head of my household and my life next to God. Like, I know that you're going to
That's
have
my
a
point.
plan. Like,
That's my
we
point.
will not fail. We're not knocking on nobody's door and needing to feed ourselves or our children. So I feel like women don't have that type of trust or that type of faith in their man. And that's why they don't.
Exactly.
And they feel like they got to hold on to power or make sure I'm good mentality because of that.
Okay, so here we go. Let's drive.
Exactly.
Let's. Okay,
That was gonna be my point.
go ahead and
That
finish
was
your
gonna be
point
my
because
point.
I'm
So
gonna give a follow up because she just said something powerful. Go ahead.
that was gonna be my point. So if I'm going off of old principles, right? Let's use the Bible. I follow God. My wife or my woman follows me, right?
Okay.
I need to have a plan, and that plan needs to be assured. If we're talking from a cultural standpoint, right? You figure in other cultures outside of our black culture, they submit, their family chooses who they're going to marry because they're submitting to what would make the family itself thrive and grow, whether that be off of educational principles, whether that's off of financial principles and things like that. Far as the black culture, we're in the space, even from back in slavery days, we as men had to endure so much stuff while the women endured so much stuff as well. And we had to either compromise, whether that's, oh, master, please don't do this. Dang, it's Juneteenth. I'm sorry, y'all. But listen, like, dang, it's master, please don't whoop her. Master, please don't do this. Take me, sell me, do this. And now we're yielding and submitting our own will to make sure our women thrive because
Mm,
that's our plan. Now it may not have worked out in the best ways, but it's culturally it pushed us into a place of what is real submission looking like. And if I have a plan, then my woman should be able to follow and trust the plan that I have.
I just want to say, you talk like a preacher. Like
I
for
don't
real.
try to.
Like, and God said that when you open up your ears, you will walk in prosperity. Like you was giving it to us. Like I was so glued right now. Like
I learned from somebody called IA Kelly.
I'm like, okay, Lord, am I toning down my faith? Because he is just giving it and like the authority of your voice. It was almost like I was listening to Dr. Martin just now. You was going, dog. I'm like, sheesh. But in
That's wild.
I mean, bro, I don't know. Like, you know what's crazy though? I just think that it comes natural to people who preach because he like sat up, then he sat
He
back, and
was
he was
feeling
like,
it.
"It was
He
the
got in.
Lord." And I'm like,
He
Yeah,
got in his
listen.
groove. He got in his
"Amen,
groove.
amen, nigga." It's
He got in
like,
his groove.
yes, nigga,
He said yes, nigga. That is wild. I'm gonna get a shirt and a hat that say yes, nigga.
yes, nigga, preach, nigga. All right, so here's my question, and no, I agree with you, bro. Like, I really do. So the question that I want to pose, and it kind of goes back to what Kashmir was saying, is she said, as long as you have a plan, and most women feel like they have to keep a piece of control. And then you said the same thing. You said, well, biblically, I'm following God. My wife is supposed to follow me. You know, so my question is does being submitted to your significant other mean in this day that you have to relinquish control? Like, is there a balance between I'm submitted, but I can still make my own decision if I want to, or is it like I have to
Mm,
lose control completely
mm.
in order to literally have faith, love, and trust and submission to this other person. And I really want to explore this because okay, answer that question because it's almost like if you are submitted but you still have a plan B, then I feel like are you really completely in love? Because
Mm.
like you're my plan A, B, and C. So how do I then say if it don't work,
How do
I
I
know
move?
if it don't
Yeah,
work, I know I'm straight. You know what I'm saying? I'm submitted, but I still can, get on if I need to. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel like my grandparents have a plan B. It's like we're here,
and
we're
that's it.
gonna be there. So
Yeah.
does submission mean you're giving up some control, or can you be submitted and still have control? And is giving up control a bad
I
thing?
feel like you have to give up control. And
Yeah.
and to a certain extent, to a certain level, absolutely yes. You do.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. That goes back to what I was saying earlier in the beginning of it. You have to have a level of vulnerability this because to give up control is meaning you're vulnerable
But
enough
what
to
about
say,
your
hey,
identity though?
Well, if you're not secure
mm,
within yourself to be able to
yeah,
trust
that's a
the
whole
mate and
different
the
thing.
person that you have chose to be with, then you got to reevaluate yourself and say, baby, what's wrong with me? What can I, it's something deeper than the person, the mate.
Okay. What about you, Bishop Jakes?
You are stupid.
what
You bring up
what
an
you
interesting. You stupid.
what you got?
Um, I think you bring up an interesting point. Most people define who they are in their relationships and in their marriages. And it's because some people don't know who they are or forget who they are when they get into a
Mm-hmm.
marriage or a relationship. You know, like I look at you two because again, we've been all around each other since forever. And you knew who you was, Isaiah, before Cash. Cash knew who she was, and when you guys came together, what ended up happening is, and I've seen it on multiple sides from both angles, you both are two dominant people, but you both were willing to submit in one way or another to say, you know what, I have this. And you have to sit back and catch and be like, no, I can take care of this. And you never lose who you are, but you add value. That's the good
Yeah.
word I want to use. You add value to one another to be better and grow to accumulate better.
I think that with submission, like going to the identity conversation, I think it's a dope thing. I think you know what I mean? Like, yeah, exactly, bro. Like I knew who I was before you and I knew what I brought to the table. And I'm convinced that you knew the same because that's why I fell in love with you. So I think that when you're together, the problem is like you try to make your identity that person's.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
That can
yeah,
happen, yeah.
Like don't become me. We should create a new identity together within ourselves. And I
yeah,
think that's what defines relationship though. Like for example, I'm me. I'm Isaiah. I know what I like, I know what I do. She's her. She's Cash. She knows what she likes, she knows what she does. But together, we're the Kellys.
yeah,
And there's an
yeah,
identity there as well. You know what I'm
yeah,
And
saying?
I think people forget that or they're scared of what that may look like. So they can't let go of this or that. You know what I mean? Or
Hmm.
that control of their life. Or, oh, babe wants to do this. Well, I'm in this field, so I could do it wherever. But maybe it's not as fun for you over there. Or you got to work with some people in a different team, like, that you're not used to. Or I don't know anybody there. Are you willing to be vulnerable in that way to build this life that you say you want with your person?
I just think when you're with a person, your identity eventually is going to kind of merge with theirs. Depending upon how long you're together, which the goal should be forever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And the
yeah.
reason why I say that is because, like, sometimes I'll listen to you on the phone talking to your friends, and you sound like me, or you make a statement as I would make it. You know what I mean? Like when I'm gossiping, and I'll be like, "Child, let me tell you." You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'll hear her in there talking on the phone, and
But
she'll
he
be like,
sounds like a woman, and he often says, I sound like his nana. So at the end of the day, I feel
Ouch.
like that's not fair. Okay, no diss. Babe Gossip is
First,
"Wow."
a girl.
first
He
shooter.
got he
Yeah,
can
yeah, that was a
gossip.
snipe.
He can
But
gossip.
y'all
Yeah.
get what I'm saying. It's like she'll be like child, or I'll hear her talking to somebody who's not even connected to the church, bro, and she be like, "Yeah, I told Reverend," and I'm like, "Who is you? What Reverend you in there talking to?"
What reverend do you
Yeah,
know?
like oh yeah, I
That
talk to Rev.
was in like the early phase when I first
You
started
still
being
do that?
around. I do not
Yes, you do. You be like, "Oh
win.
yeah, Rev said," and I'm like, "Rev? Oh yeah, no, my homegirl. Who? Like, you know what I mean? Because
She
it's
preached.
right, because it's such a common term that I say, which means that like our identities are kind of the same. You know what I mean? I think you do it subconsciously. You don't even realize that you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that goes back to submission. Like your identity gets merged with another person, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you are, although you're giving up control, it does not mean that you have to be controlled.
Mm,
You feel what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like you still have an opinion within your trust, and your partner within their trust should make certain that your opinion is considered and appreciated. And I think that that's what makes the submission go deeper, but I also think that's what we're missing in black culture right now. Is that level of openness and trust.
Let me ask you this then, bro, and Cash, I want your opinion as well because you have the female perspective. Do you believe or do you suggest that in our culture as relationship goes, right? When it comes down to being submitted and having submission issues, that on one hand, the controlling part, does that come from trauma that if I'm not in control or if I'm in control, then I know I won't be hurt? Or do you look at it from another sense of, well, I know what's best and I know what works, so I need to be in control to a certain level of degree? And that comes from a whole different level of like traumatic experiences, trauma bonding, and different things that you faced even before you either got married or got into a relationship.
Well,
Ooh.
that's another loaded question. Um, so I can say when it comes to relationships, in my past, I was the type of person that needed to have control. I was always going to have my own, and I was always going to have my own. You see those women today, like I got my own and can't tell me nothing. You can go, you can come, it'll be another one. Like, and you'll probably continue to cycle and recycle Negroes until you decide that, hey, I'm too old to have kids, or oops, like, now I'm stuck with you and I really don't like you, or whatever the case. However, um, I was that type of female. Like, I have to have control. I have to have my own. Gotta have my own house. Gotta have my own this. And I think that's where you see in today's culture, women are always like, "Well, what can you do for me?" Because I can do for myself. Like, you want to date me? Like, I don't want to date you. And I feel like
That's a problem, though. Like,
Yeah,
I'm just
like
I'm
that.
just telling
That's the
uh,
issue.
I was
I'm
with her
just
until she turned right.
answering the question. However, when you're with someone that you I feel like women know who they can trust. But the messed up, because we're talking about relationships, right? The messed up thing about, and I'm gonna get a slightly off topic, but I'm gonna come back around the corner and come back to the house, okay, guys? I feel
All
like
right, we with you.
women always want the guy who they can trust and who can lead them and be that man and have a plan and have all this provision. But that's usually not the man that you know gives that is fun or exciting, or he's not cute,
Mm,
or an aesthetic is some type of aesthetic is missing. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
mm.
So that's when you have to say, like, are you willing to maybe, in a sense, I don't want to say settle because that's a really, you know,
Derogatory term.
derogatory term.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
at the same time, it's like, I feel like that is why you don't see people doing that. Like, everybody is not as fortunate and blessed to have such a beautiful chocolate tall, six, height start with six, weight start with two.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
God sent,
his head
you
is big
know,
enoh, sweetie. Don't
Yeah.
pump it up anymore. His my brother
Yeah.
head is
Yeah.
big enough. Don't
man
pump
to
it up too much
lead and
more.
provide them and love them like
Yeah.
mine do. However, I just still feel like if you want something, you're going to have to give something, and you have to give up being an individual to merge your life with somebody wholly. And people say they want that until they in it. And you like, okay,
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, I have seen it on social media and talk to friends like, how's your marriage going? Because this person marriage, da, da, da. Baby, I am good. And after listening to that story, I'm actually great. Lord, thank you again for sending me this, because I asked for this, and like my prayer has literally become my reality. We forget so quick. You know what I mean?
yeah,
When you get
yeah.
comfortable, like it was a time where I prayed for what I have now, and I can sit here and say like it's been a time where I almost forgot. Like, hold on, because you remember what you was praying for and praying up off of you, and now you got, girl. I'm so
She
happy.
started preaching, and I need to probably send
So
like tithes and
happy.
offerings. She
Hey,
started
y'all,
preaching. I
look.
need to see tithes and
Lady
offerings.
Cash just gave us the truth, unraw and unfiltered for sure. Give us a second because y'all know we got to promote some black businesses. So we'll be right back after this commercial. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Isaiah, and I'm so excited to announce the Psych brand official launch. You're looking at the flyer right now, and it's so easy to cop one of these shirts. All you have to do is head over to our Instagram, exclusively Unfiltered. DM us and let us know that you want one of these shirts. You gotta have it. Look at it. You're literally pronouncing your future. You're literally letting us know that you're not dealing with grief, loss, sickness, disease, defeat, depression, anxiety, or homelessness. Death and generational curses are over. You got to proclaim your future with one of these shirts. We got them in all sizes. Y'all hit us up on exclusively Unfiltered on IG. Peace. All right, y'all, welcome back. Look, it is getting spicy in here. We're talking about submission and what does that look like? So, uh, so look. Quick story because that's where I was going before the commercial. Quick story. On a time where I felt like I was submitted. You know what I'm saying? Y'all might think it's bogus, but real talk. So I grew up in the black church, and not just any church, but the apostolic, the holiness church, the deliverance church, right? So a lot of stuff was no. You know what I mean? No, it wasn't sanctified to go to the movies. It was not sanctified to find yourself in a lounge. It was not sanctified to be at the bowling alley after dark when
That's
everybody
all taboo.
started coming in there drinking. It was not popular for you to go to a nightclub whatsoever. It was not popular for you to even be seen sitting at the hotel bar, even if you were not drinking, just to see the TV closer. Like that was all considered no go, sin, shame. You going to hell. Like they convicted you so much that you felt dirty in the end. Like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here. And that's the way I used to conduct my life and my relationships. Like, Cash, I tell you, when we was dating as kids, bro, you remember, like, hey, babe, we'll go to Outback in between services, but I got 6, 7 different churches I got to go to today when I was on the organ. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I said that to say, like, when Cash and I started dating this time around, like before we got married, like we had split for a period of time, and she was more so, in the church, and they gonna get me, but a lot of them, you do what you want to do in private, almost
Yeah.
like it's secretive. You know what I mean? So like when you want to
Yeah.
go to the bowling alley or you want to, go to a lounge with you and your wife, it's like, nah, babe, my church is in LA. We got to go to a lounge in San Bernardino in the cut in the corner where nobody can see us because of
Yeah.
who I am. We got to go to the rich area of Santa Monica so that way I can do what I do. That's a whole nother podcast topic. But this time around, it was crazy for me to submit to what she wanted because, like I said, she was accustomed to going out to a nice lounge. Nothing crazy, you know what I mean? But just being in the scene, nice jazz music, some drinks or something flowing around us, and just really sitting there, nice sexy dress. I'm dressed. We're in a dark scene, and we're dating one another. Like you remember that? Like even down to her aesthetics, bro. Like she had this nose ring in at the time. She had these waist beads. You know what I mean? She had all of this stuff going on,
Still
and
do. Same.
I didn't
Black
calm down.
power.
Praise the name of the
Black
Lord.
power.
But she had all of this, bro. When we first started dating, and I seen that nose ring, and I seen them waist beads, and she was talking about going to a lounge. Am I lying? I looked at her square ball in her face. I said, "You're not sending me to hell. We're not doing that. No, nuh-uh." Jesus said,
I'm
"Holiness
like,
without no man
huh?
shall see the Lord." No, sir, no, ma'am.
What?
I can't
You
be in
been
no
doing
lounge.
what?
She
Huh?
talking about, babe, like they serve food there. I said, food in the club? Oh no, that's
Right.
that's demonic. I can't do that.
That don't sound like Jesus.
We can go to the shut in, but we can't go to no club. You know what I mean? Uh, and I'm gonna need you to take that nose ring right up out your nose too. Go on and yank it out. You don't need it. It's the Bible says you ain't supposed to do nothing to your body. You're supposed to be the way that Jesus made you. You got to take that out. And then I used to ask her all the time, "What in the world is that thing around your waist? What does it symbolize? It's witchcraft. Take it off. We going to hell?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
right?"
Yeah.
But then I started like relaxing myself and really understanding like, okay, Isaiah, everything ain't gonna send you to hell. Like study to show thyself approved, rightly divided the word of truth. You know what I mean? Like what does that really mean? Are these church customs that they've taught you? Because I heard Dr. Jamal Bryant say one time. He said, one of the negative things about the old church is you had to look so old. Kurt Franklin said it too.
Yeah.
The you people thought you was holy when you came in there and your suit was real big and shiny with the
Yeah.
pinstripe. That means you was going to heaven. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's like now you're more urban. You know what I mean? So I had to submit to that. Like, babe wants to go out on real dates and not just to the Outback. She wants to go to nice lounges. She wants to listen to nice music. She wants to dance to songs that are not written by Ty Tribbett or Donnie McClurkin. And that was a lot for
Yeah.
me. You know what I mean? Like she has a nose
Yeah.
ring in her nose. Like I'm flipping the pages. Is that gonna send me to hell? Like what's going on?
Right.
I don't
Right.
know, Doc. You know what I mean? So that was something that I had to submit to where I said, my wife wants something different. Isaiah, if you want to be married, like she needs to be saved, she needs to be sanctified and anointed, but like you cannot drown her in oil. Be normal.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that's the time I had to
Yeah.
submit.
No Diddy. No Diddy. Praise God. We got it.
Wow. I didn't
We got
even think
it.
about that.
I was gonna give it the light chuckle. You just had to be the bro,
I
huh,
mean
Aaron? You
Pompion
had
oil. I'm
to.
not talking. Pompion is the anointed oil.
That's
Not
the one.
Johnson. Johnson is Diddy's oil. When is the time you have to submit, bro? Have you ever submitted to a woman?
Yeah.
He lied. Just that
No,
fast.
no, 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 no,
We
no,
could
no,
hear
no.
it
Because
wasn't
you
even
remember. No,
convincing.
look.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no. I have to think
He
about
said
it.
it
You remember?
tired. He was
You
tired
remember?
when he said that. Yeah.
You remember?
This nigga need therapy.
And Danielle.
We gave
Oh, it
Yeah.
names.
names.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
you know for a fact I was
Boy, I
submitted,
need more
but you
Danielle,
remember,
go
right?
ahead and follow our YouTube because I need to know who you are, bud.
all our
No,
socials.
you remember because you at the time said, "Do am I with her and do I like her because she reminds me of somebody else that I once had?" You remember?
This conversation is getting worse.
So
I
no,
don't want to
I mean,
testify against you. I was not
no,
there. I was never there. We
you
never had this conversation.
anyway.
I do not
To answer the
recall.
question,
Danielle ain't
yes,
finna hop in my DM cussing me out. Like, oh wow, for real?
please. Nah, but yeah, no, I was submitted,
How so?
and because just like you, I had to realize, again, growing up in the black church, oh, this is how you fast, this is how you pray, this is how you do this. With her, I had to submit to where she came from. We had a whole argument. She was like, "Oh well, not everything when you pray, you don't have to yell real loud, you don't have to talk in tongues." I'm like, "Well,
Baby, you got to have
how do
power.
you,
The Bible says after the
you
Holy Ghost comes upon you, you shall receive
so,
power.
power?"
I can't
So
say it too loud. I'm
so in
sanctified for real.
listen, okay, listen. So I sat there and I thought about it, and I had to realize, like, oh, okay, no, why am I judging you or condemning you from a point that we come from two different places?
Yeah.
I have to submit to her. I have to submit
Mhm.
to her in a family sense, Oh, well, she has a big family. My family is big, but they're scattered out so far that I don't do anything with nobody.
Hmm.
So um definitely submitted to her emotionally, submitted to her spiritually. And she submitted to me in the same. Um and that's where we came together. Now in the end it didn't work out because I have a daughter now, but we praise God for a whole different thing. Anyway,
It sounds like a testimonial with you, dog.
I did submit to her though. I
I
did
think I
submit
think
to
our
her.
next episode should be
So you go ahead.
like
What's the next episode?
experiencing Aaron Peace. Dude, we
No,
just
Something, yeah. We
absolutely
should
not.
definitely dive
I'll
into
interview you
Absolutely
and
not.
you just
We'll
let it
just
No,
out.
it's
unpack it
okay.
all. We'll have a red
Not at
table
all.
talk, light some
Not at all.
candles, we'll dim the lights a little bit for you.
Not dim
We're gonna
lights.
bring you in the studio, bro. What does your schedule look like?
Fact though. Like, do you feel like you're 100% submitted to me, or and I don't mean it like that. Let me rephrase. Do you feel like you are like 100%? I don't know another way to say it. Like 100% submitted to me, or do you feel like
Invested.
there's times where you make mistakes on submission?
But I don't feel like because you make a mistake that you're not 100% submitted.
Okay,
So I feel like that's kind of unfair to say.
so there are mistakes in submission.
Yes, there will be because although I'm 100% submitted to you, I love you and I want you to be happy and I want to add to your happiness every day and to, be your wife and please you. It's not going to say like today I may have dropped the ball and oh my goodness, something in my schedule changed and when my mind started going, I forgot to put this part component back in there and this is going to affect my husband. He's going to want and feel like this and I'm going to have to hear it.
Hmm.
Dang, I messed up. Babe, I apologize. Like I didn't mean to do or not do whatever it was. I'm going to work on that
So
because it was
there's ownership and accountability
you have to.
in submission.
Yes.
I 1000% agree.
Yeah.
So let's go here with it. Can submission become enabling? This is what I mean.
Mm.
Because you're submitted to your partner, I have expectations, you have expectations. So now it's like I go off and do all of this stuff, or you go off and do all of this stuff. And now I don't do it, nor do I attempt to help with it. A prime example is like, you know, I go off and pay the rent so much or the mortgage so much that it's something that you never consider or worry about. I'm enabling you. Can submission become enabling?
Yes.
Mm, okay.
So
That was straight. That was quick.
Yeah, that
to
was quick.
that, because he the example he used, I can honestly see like honestly within myself. I went from being an independent, I got my own, I gotta have my own type of woman to saying I don't have to worry about today is the 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st of the month. And the first is, and the second and third is right around the corner. And I need to figure out, or do I have, or I need to run to the bank, or I need to upload that payment for my residence to make sure that me and my baby are good. I do not.
Yeah.
And I have not. And it did become extremely comfortable to me until I said, what are you doing with all that extra money, Cashmere, that you used to pay rent with?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I started
Yeah.
thinking to myself, like, this is literally a serious conversation I've had, and literally an epiphany, a wake up, as you would call it, whatever the word is for that. But I literally had the conversation, and me and my husband, we recently had a conversation about, like, not necessarily roles in the home, but like basically me understanding some things, because I can say my honesty, unfiltered. I am spoiled. I am a spoiled woman. I always have been. My husband loves me down to where he makes things so easy for me that sometimes I forget how blessed I am. So with that conversation, I literally just told my husband, well, after I'm done paying, these bills off, I want to put this money this way, because look at what I could do with this and that. And he's looking at me like, wow, because I've never heard you say or talk about that. And I appreciate that, because it's one thing to appreciate somebody and say, thank you, babe. Mwah, I appreciate you for making sure we got a roof over our head. Because as a man of the household, that's what you're supposed to do. But really saying, like, how can I add value or continue to add value to what my husband is providing?
That's good. How can I
That's
add
solid.
value?
Yeah, that's solid.
That's good.
That's real solid.
Bro, have you ever like do you feel like you've ever enabled a woman? Like she was so submitted to you, you did, what men are supposed to do and it enabled her.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, tell me about it.
Without dropping any names, praise God.
Okay, because
Uh,
you was in therapy a few minutes ago. Yeah.
yeah. um, there was somebody that I was with, and from buying her outfits to making sure nails was done to making sure she had everything that she needed, it now became a sense of, oh well, if this,
Expectation.
yeah, yeah, it sets up the expectation of, oh well, you're always going to do it. No, I'm interested in you, and I value you, and because we are, I take you serious, and I want something to grow from this. This is where I'm showing you said appreciation, which is honestly, Cash. I was going to go into, when you think about the love languages. Some people say my love language is gift giving, or words of
Physical
affirmation, and
touch,
all of
words
that
of
stuff.
affirmation, yeah.
Right. In that, in adding value should be an enablement, should gift giving go in a sense of an expectation or being an enablement, because if I show you that I value you and I don't get the same reciprocity, I don't get that same reciprocation, then it's almost as if, am I paying you for what?
So we got to go back to the original
Did he just send the
topic.
self heart emojis or am
It's
I
the
tripping?
iPhone. When you do stuff, it do it.
Oh,
You
I'm
do
like,
this.
am I
You
the
do
only
Hey
one that
dog, I
saw
didn't.
that?
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Hey, oh
Yeah,
shoot, I
see,
did this again, my
okay,
bad dog.
it's not gonna do it for you.
oh,
Okay.
I'm
You're
like,
on
But
the camera.
no, because I'm like, am I tripping or does everybody else see that? All right,
it's
go ahead.
magical. No. Um,
Magical.
but I wanted to.
Y'all stupid. Come on, 'cause we ain't got that long.
It's really y'all. Y'all do too much. Back to your what you said about what you were doing. So I honestly don't feel like that is submission. That's not submission. That is
No,
Tricking.
a you were
first
basically
off,
feeding into
I'm
what it
not.
is that she liked to keep her attention, and to what I mean, in your courting phase you felt comfortable enough to do that. To me, that's not submission in no type of way. But I bet you felt a level of submission from her, because I'm doing this, so you're giving me that. That's not submission.
I will agree to that.
That's to
Yeah,
me not submission. So you got to give us a different example.
yeah. But it's cool. But you know
mhm,
what? Maybe he's not felt that as of yet. Because he's still in the
I ain't
dating
married.
phase. Yeah. I mean, well, I think submission should come way before marriage. That's just
You
me
feel like
talk.
I submitted to you before we got married?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
okay.
Oh my god.
Not with her. If
Well,
y'all seen what she just did, she was like, "Oh, okay, for sure."
yeah, because I think that like why am I getting ready to buy or put a ring on? I was gonna say buy a ring, so y'all don't come around. Well, you ain't buying me. Nah, that ain't what I said. Why was I gonna buy that ring? Why was I going to lock this down if I don't even know if you can follow simple instructions? I don't want you to be toxic. And speaking of toxic, submission can be toxic too.
Yeah,
Submission can be
yeah,
toxic too. So like you really want to make
Yes.
sure that you're not submitting to the wrong person. You know what I mean? Like submission should come once that man shows you that you should trust him with your heart. And I want to clear that up for the black relationships out here. We're not just telling you because you got a boyfriend that you should just submit to little Dumbo who ain't never bought or paid a bill in his life, who's
yeah.
currently
Nah,
waiting on the PlayStation 6 to come out so that way he can toss all
and his
your
new pair of
savings
Jordans.
on the
Yeah,
PlayStation 6.
yeah,
So that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is it's after you can trust him with your heart, and you got to really know what that means, that's when I feel like you should submit. Because if not, then it becomes toxic. It becomes do this because I said, and I am who I am. You know what I'm
But
saying?
I feel like that's unfair because a lot of men do that to women and they wonder, oh, I don't know where she got that idea from. And it's like, oh, don't do that because this is what you kind of made her feel as if this is what you wanted from her. So when she gave you what you wanted, and you was like, oh no, thanks for the ass, but that's not really what I wanted.
Oh my God, it's
Like,
going left.
the, like that's
that's
unfair
deep.
because women feel like,
Deep.
oh well, he told me
Oh, I
don't
can read
or I
these comments.
should, and this is what I'm doing in return because this must be my man. Now this is my man, and that's not always the case.
Okay, so let's go. And we're about to wrap. But what do women know when to lean in versus walk away in terms of submission? So I know what I bring to the table. You know what you bring to the table. When do you know that you should lean in and trust versus yeah, no, that's I got to get up out of here.
For
That's a good question.
who? For who?
For women, like I know for me, I don't want you to submit to me if everything is a battle. So I'm not gonna lean in. I'm gonna walk off. Like if I gotta ask you to do what I feel like your mom and grandma should have taught you, you know what I mean? Then I'm not
Yeah,
really
What
interested
if
in
it's
your
things that you're
submission.
learning about someone in the dating phase? Like, hey, I don't like when the way you did this. It made me feel this way. So can you change that? Can you fix that? Can you make me feel secure within us so I can feel like I can this can go to the next level. I can trust you or you can lead me because for me that's I don't like it or it's not
I
gonna
feel
work.
like tailoring submission to your specificity is fine. You know what I'm saying? Like it's no problem with you saying, "Hey, I need you to tailor this to me." But if I have to like give you general submission guidelines, like as a grown woman,
yeah,
where I'm like,
yeah.
hey, I'm not trying to punk you, but I'm in a conversation with a whole nother adult. You know what I mean? So do you know how to just lean in and rub my arm to let me know to look at you because you need my attention so I can lean in and you tell me what you want?
Mm-hmm.
Or like are you just gonna come over here and interrupt us while we're talking, which is not ladylike whatsoever, and I have to now
You didn't
teach
even
you.
say excuse
Mm-hmm.
me.
Yeah, now I gotta like correct you and teach you what mom and grandma should have told you. So that's what I mean. Like you could tailor it, but I also think that we have to be specific, especially for our audience to understand there's a difference between toxicity and toxic submission. That looks like you submitting to a person who does not have your best interest, has not earned your love, has not shown you that they have a plan for you, let alone the family that you may bring, make, or come with, right? And like I'm just like, yes, daddy, yes, mommy, whatever you
But see, a
want.
lot of men expect that level of submission, respect and trust from women, and that's literally the category that they're in. Then they're trying to scream it out, yell it out, punk it out, fight it out. But it's like you're not providing that to me, and that's why I say you got to do some deep soul diving and probably give your own self a red table talk and figure out what it is you like. Who are you as a person? Because, like you said, the toxic part is not the fun, easygoing part. Like for me, submission is sexy. Submission is, you know, a betterment. Submission is, my comfort place in a sense in my relationship. Whereas submission would make my stomach turn hurl and upside down in a relationship that I've been in. I have to really look at myself and say, well, Cashmere, what are you doing? What are you choosing? You know what I mean?
So let's do this, bro. You got something real quick?
I did. And it was really a question, but more so, you think, Cash, you said something earlier that, versus what you want versus what's actually you
Mm,
need, far as like a woman, because again, we all, again, we want submission to a certain degree, but we need somebody to feel vulnerable with, or we need someone to make us feel comfortable enough to give that submission to. And we see it in most of our culture, whether it be a man and a woman, uh, that we want for men, we want the woman with the nice body. We want the woman who has everything that we are looking for. And for a woman, they want the dudes that are 6 high and nice job and all that, but he may not be appealing, or she may not be appealing, but it's exactly what you
so
need
you gotta
versus what
submit
you
for
want.
what you need and not what you want. I like that. So real quick, bro, one
Yeah.
word. What is submission? What's needed in submission?
Trust,
You gave me 2
vulnerability.
words. I'm gonna take it. Babe, what's needed in submission?
Yeah.
Tell somebody how is it gonna make the relationship work? 2 words.
What is needed in submission?
2 words. Knock them out. Come
That's a
on. You
loaded
can only
question.
hurry up. You can
Two
only say
words.
two. Put it
Two
in two.
words.
Put it in two for the Generation
Two
Z. They
words.
gonna skip this to the end. Give them 2 words. What do they need?
I got three.
All right, give it to me.
Trust your person.
Trust your person. You know what my two
That's
words
good.
are? Trust and openness. And since you gave three, I
Yeah.
give three and obedience. Y'all, we had a powerful episode today. Submission or surrender. Like, what are y'all doing out there? You know what I'm saying? And is it needed? All right, tonight
Yeah.
we did a real deep dive into submission. We hope y'all enjoyed. Do us a favor. Drop y'all comments in the comment section. Should people still submit? Do submission have gender roles? Should you only submit to the man and then the woman not have any submission? What does that look like in modern day relationships for black culture, black love, black heart, and of course, the black mind? Yo, follow all of our pages, man. They right here at the bottom, and we'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.